The dinner table was silent except for one voice, Derek's voice. Loud, mocking, cruel. "Amber, this food tastes like cardboard," he said, pushing his plate away. "Can't you cook anything decent? My brother deserves better than this." Amber sat quietly, hands folded in her lap. She didn't respond. She never did. Her husband Michael looked down at his plate, saying nothing. He never defended her. Not once in the 3 years they'd been married. Derek leaned back in his chair, laughing. "Look at her. She can't even talk back. What kind of wife are you? Useless and silent." Amber stood slowly, picked up the plates and walked to the kitchen. Inside, she took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "One day, just one more day." But today was different. Today, Derek had crossed a line he didn't even know existed. And soon, everything he thought he knew about the quiet woman he tormented would come crashing down on him. Before we continue with this powerful story, I need to ask you something important. If you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? This is where real stories with real lessons happen. Hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, do it. And while you're at it, smash that like button because it helps more people find these stories. Oh, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I want to know who's part of this family. Now, let's get back to Amber's story, because what happens next will shock you. 3 years earlier, Amber Nettle had everything. As the CEO of Nettle Properties, one of the largest real estate development companies in the state, she owned over 50 residential and commercial buildings. Her company's portfolio was worth hundreds of millions. She lived in a beautiful penthouse, drove luxury cars, and commanded respect in every boardroom she entered. But Amber was tired. Tired of fake friends who only wanted her money. Tired of men who only saw her bank account. Tired of the loneliness that came with success. "I just want someone to love me for me," she told her best friend and lawyer, Patricia, over coffee one morning. "Not for what I have." Patricia nodded. "I understand. But Amber, you can't just hide who you are. That's not honest either." "I'm not hiding," Alien said. "I'm just not advertising. If I meet someone naturally, someone who doesn't know about my business, maybe I'll find something real." That same week, Amber met Michael at a community volunteer event. He was a middle school teacher, kind and gentle with the children. He didn't know who she was, didn't recognize her from business magazines. To him, she was just Amber, a quiet woman who volunteered on weekends. They talked about books, about helping others, about simple dreams. No one mentioned money. No one talked about properties or investments. It was refreshing. Michael told her about his life. His parents had passed away when he was young, leaving him and his older brother Derek to raise themselves. Derek had helped put Michael through college by working construction jobs. Michael felt forever indebted to his brother. "Derek sacrificed a lot for me," Michael said. "He gave up his own dreams so I could become a teacher. I owe him everything." Amber saw the love in Michael's eyes when he spoke about his brother. It made her love him more. Family loyalty was important to her, too. 6 months later, Michael proposed with a simple silver ring. "It's all I can afford," he said nervously. "I know it's not much." "It's perfect," Amber said, meaning it. They married quietly at City Hall. Amber wore a simple white dress she bought on sale. No fancy wedding, no expensive reception. Just two people promising to love each other. But Amber made one decision that would change everything. She didn't tell Michael about her company or her properties. She wanted to be sure their love was real first. She planned to tell him eventually, after they'd built a strong foundation. What she didn't plan for was Derek. Michael's brother moved into their home 2 weeks after the wedding. "Just for a few months," Michael said, "until Derek finds a new place. He's between jobs right now." The house they lived in was a modest 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. What Michael didn't know was that Amber owned it. She owned the entire street, actually. But she'd told him they were renting it cheaply from a friend. From day one, Derek treated Amber like a servant. "Amber, get me a beer," he'd shout from the living room. "Amber, wash my clothes, they're in the bathroom." "Amber, why is dinner late? What do you do all day while my brother works?" Amber worked too, but she'd told Michael she had a simple office job doing paperwork. Every day she left the house dressed casually, drove to her company's headquarters 10 miles away, changed into her business suits, and ran her empire. Then she'd change back before coming home. It was exhausting, living two lives. But she'd started the lie, and now she didn't know how to stop it. Derek's treatment got worse each week. One evening, Amber prepared a special dinner for Michael's birthday. She'd spent hours cooking his favorite dishes: roasted chicken, garlic potatoes, fresh vegetables, and homemade chocolate cake. Derek arrived home first, saw the food, and started eating before Michael even got home. "This chicken is dry," he said loudly, "and these potatoes are bland. Can't you season food properly?" "I'm sorry," Amber said quietly. "I'll do better next time." "You always say that, but nothing changes." Derek grabbed the chocolate cake and cut himself a huge piece. "At least try to make dessert right." When Michael came home, most of the food was gone. Derek had eaten 3 servings. "Happy birthday, honey," Amber said, showing Michael what remained. "Thanks, Amber." Michael smiled but didn't comment on the missing food. He never did. That night, Amber sat in the bathroom crying silently. Patricia called, and Amber answered, trying to sound normal. "How are things?" Patricia asked. "Fine. Everything's fine." "Amber, you don't sound fine. Is it Derek again?" Silence. "Amber, why are you letting him treat you like this? You own that house. You own half the city. Just tell Michael the truth and kick Derek out." "I can't," Amber whispered. "Not yet. Michael loves his brother so much. He's grateful for everything Derek did for him. If I kick Derek out, Michael will resent me. Our marriage is still new. I need more time." "Time for what? For Derek to break your spirit completely?" Amber didn't have an answer. The next day at work, Amber was back in her element. Confident, powerful, decisive. "Ms. Nettle, we have the Henderson property closing today," her assistant informed her. "They're offering $20 million. "Counter with 25, Amber said without hesitation. "That property will triple in value within 5 years. They know it. We know it. 25 or no deal." Her team nodded, impressed, as always, by her business instinct. Amber Nettle was a force in the boardroom. No one dared disrespect her here. But at home, she transformed into someone else entirely. Someone quiet. Someone who took abuse without fighting back. That evening, Derek was in the living room when Amber came home. He looked at her with disgust. "You're late," he said. "Where were you?" "Work," Amber replied simply. "Work." Derek laughed. "Pushing papers around an office. Such important work. Meanwhile, my brother is out teaching ungrateful kids and you can't even get home in time to cook dinner." Amber walked past him toward the kitchen. Derek stood up and followed her. "I'm talking to you. Don't walk away from me." Amber turned around, her face calm but her eyes tired. "What do you want me to say, Derek?" "I want you to show some respect. My brother made a mistake marrying you. You're nothing. You have nothing. You bring nothing to this family." Michael walked in just then, hearing the last sentence. "Derek, that's enough," Michael said, but his voice was weak, uncertain. "Enough?" Derek turned to his brother. "Michael, wake up. Look at what you married. She can't cook. She barely talks. She has no family, no connections, nothing. You could have done so much better." Amber felt tears threatening, but she held them back. Michael looked uncomfortable. "Derek, Amber is my wife. Please respect that." "I respect you," Derek said. "That's why I'm telling you the truth. This woman is dragging you down." Amber couldn't take any more. She walked to the bedroom and locked the door. Later that night, Michael knocked softly. "Amber, can we talk?" She opened the door. Michael looked apologetic but also frustrated. "I'm sorry about Derek," he said. "He doesn't mean it. He's just protective of me." "He's cruel, Michael," Amber said quietly, "and you never defend me." "I know. I'm sorry. But Derek raised me. He sacrificed everything for me. I can't just throw him out or fight with him. He's all the family I have." "What about me?" Amber asked. "I'm your family too. I'm your wife." Michael looked down. "You are, and I love you. But Derek won't be here forever. Just a few more months. Can you just Try to get along with him. Maybe try harder with the cooking. He's used to certain standards. Amber stared at her husband in disbelief. Try harder? Michael, I work all day too. I come home tired just like you. I know. I'm just saying, maybe meet him halfway. Amber turned away. Get out, Michael. Amber, please, just leave me alone tonight. Michael left and Amber sat on the bed, her body shaking. Not from sadness anymore, from anger. She picked up her phone and called Patricia. I'm done, Amber said when Patricia answered. Tomorrow, everything changes. Derek wants to know who I really am. He's about to find out. What are you going to do? Patricia asked. Something I should have done months ago, Amber replied. I'm going to stop hiding, and I'm going to let Derek learn a lesson he'll never forget. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Are you sure? Completely, Amber said. Set up a meeting tomorrow with the property management team. I want every document related to this house, every paper with my name on it, every deed, every title, everything. Amber, what about Michael? Michael made his choice tonight, Amber said, her voice steady. He chose his brother over me. Now he's going to learn exactly who he married. And Derek is going to learn that the woman he's been treating like a servant owns the very ground he walks on. The next morning, Amber woke up with a new sense of purpose. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw the CEO staring back, not the quiet, submissive wife she'd been pretending to be. Michael had already left for school. Derek was still asleep, as usual. He never woke up before 10, claiming he was between opportunities, but never actually looking for work. Amber dressed differently today. Instead of her casual clothes, she wore a sharp navy blue blazer, white blouse, and tailored pants. She pulled her hair back into a sleek ponytail and applied makeup with precision. This was her armor. This was who she really was. At the office, Patricia was waiting with a thick folder of documents. Everything's here, Patricia said, laying the papers on Amber's desk. Property deeds for the house, the entire street actually. Tax documents showing you as the sole owner. Purchase receipts from 4 years ago, long before you even met Michael. Amber flipped through the documents, her face unreadable. Perfect. What about the other properties? I've compiled a portfolio summary. Nettle Properties owns 53 buildings across the state. Current estimated value, $347 million. Your personal net worth, including liquid assets and investments, is approximately $412 million. Amber nodded slowly. And the house Derek and Michael think we're renting? Purchased by you 4 years ago for $2.3 million. Current value, $3.1 million. You've been paying the property taxes, maintenance, everything. There is no landlord friend. There never was. Good, Amber said. Now I want you to do something for me. Contact Anderson Construction. Tell them I want the property evaluation team at the house tomorrow at 2 p.m. Full inspection, documentation, everything. Patricia raised an eyebrow. You're going to have the house inspected while Derek is there? Oh yes, Amber said with a slight smile. I want him to see exactly what's happening. I want him to ask questions. And then I want him to get answers he never expected. What about Michael? Amber's smile faded. Michael will be at work. He made his choice. He chose to let his brother disrespect me rather than stand up for his wife. Now he'll learn the consequences of that choice. Patricia nodded. Anything else? Yes. Tomorrow evening, I want you to arrange a meeting here at the office. Invite Michael and Derek. Tell Michael it's about a rental issue with the house. Make it sound urgent. And Derek? Tell Derek that his presence is required as a resident of the property. Make it official. I want both of them here at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Patricia made notes quickly. You're really doing this? I should have done it months ago, Amber replied. I thought I was protecting my marriage by staying quiet. But all I did was teach Derek that he could treat me like garbage and teach Michael that it was acceptable to let him. That evening, Amber came home at her usual time. She'd changed back into casual clothes, slipping back into her disguise one last time. Derek was on the couch, beer in hand, watching television with his feet on the coffee table. You're late again, he said without looking at her. There's no food. I'm starving. Amber walked past him to the kitchen without responding. Hey, Derek shouted. I'm talking to you. Amber began preparing dinner quietly. She made spaghetti and meatballs, knowing it was Derek's favorite. Let him enjoy it. It would be his last comfortable meal in this house. When Michael came home, the three of them sat at the table. Derek immediately began criticizing. This sauce is too watery, he complained, and the meatballs are overcooked. Can't you do anything right? Amber ate in silence. Michael, seriously, Derek continued, you need to consider your options. This marriage was a mistake. You could get an annulment or something. Find a real woman who can take care of you properly. Michael looked uncomfortable. Derek, please, not now. When then? Derek demanded. When are you going to wake up and realize you married down? Way down. She has no education, no real job, no family with connections. She's dead weight, Michael. Amber set down her fork carefully. Derek, may I ask you something? Derek looked surprised. Amber rarely spoke directly to him. What? What exactly do you contribute to this household? The table went silent. Derek's face reddened. Excuse me? It's a simple question, Amber said, her voice calm but steady. You criticize everything I do. You eat the food I cook while insulting it. You live in this house without paying rent or utilities. You don't clean, don't shop for groceries, don't work. So I'm curious, what do you contribute? Derek stood up angrily. I contributed by raising your husband. I sacrificed years of my life for him. That's my contribution. That was years ago, Amber said. I'm asking about now. What do you contribute now? How dare you? Answer the question, Derek, Michael interrupted nervously. Amber, maybe we should… No, Michael, Amber said, her eyes still on Derek. I want to hear his answer. What does he contribute to this household right now? Derek's hands shook with rage. I don't have to answer to you. You're nobody. You're nothing. Nobody? Amber repeated softly. Nothing? That's right, Derek spat. You're a nobody who got lucky enough to trick my brother into marrying you, but luck runs out. Amber stood slowly. You're absolutely right about one thing, Derek. Luck does run out, and yours just did. She walked to the bedroom without another word, leaving both men staring after her. That night, Amber couldn't sleep. She lay in bed next to Michael, who was already snoring softly. She thought about the past 3 years, the insults, the disrespect, the way she'd made herself smaller and smaller just to keep peace. No more. Her phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. Everything is set for tomorrow. The team will arrive at 2 p.m. Meeting confirmed for 6 p.m. at the office. Are you ready? Amber typed back. More than ready. It's time for the truth. The next day moved slowly. Amber went to work as usual, but she was distracted. Her team noticed. Ms. Nettle, are you all right? Her assistant asked. You seem different today. I'm fine, Amber replied. Just preparing for an important meeting tonight. At 2 p.m., she got the text she'd been waiting for. Team has arrived at the property. Amber smiled. Right now, Derek would be answering the door to find a professional property evaluation team with clipboards and cameras. Right now, he'd be asking questions and getting very interesting answers. Her phone rang. It was Derek. What the hell is going on? He shouted. There are people here saying they need to inspect the house. They're saying the owner sent them. Who's the owner? I thought you were renting from some friend. Is that what Michael told you? Amber asked innocently. Yes. So why are these people here talking about property evaluations and ownership documentation? Maybe you should ask them for details, Amber suggested. I'm at work. I can't help you right now. You need to come home and deal with this. I have a job, Derek. Remember? That useless paper-pushing job you're always making fun of. I can't just leave, but I'll see you tonight. There's a meeting at 6 p.m. about the house. You and Michael need to be there. What meeting? What are you talking about? The address is 1250 Commerce Street, Suite 800. Don't be late, Derek. This concerns you. She hung up before he could respond. At 5:30 p.m., Amber was in her office getting ready. She changed into her most expensive suit, a black Armani with red lining. Her hair was down, styled in elegant waves. She wore the diamond earrings her father had given her before he passed, and her mother's pearl necklace. Patricia knocked and entered. "They're here. I put them in conference room A." "Both of them?" Derek is furious. Michael looks confused and worried. I don't think Michael knows what this is about. Amber took a deep breath. "Good. Let's begin." She walked down the hallway, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Employees nodded respectfully as she passed. "Good evening, Miss Nettle." "Have a good meeting, Miss Nettle." Amber reached the conference room door. Through the glass, she could see Michael and Derek sitting at the large table. Derek was red-faced and agitated. Michael looked nervous, bouncing his knee up and down. Patricia opened the door and announced, "Gentlemen, Ms. Amber Nettle, CEO of Nettle Properties." Amber walked in. Derek barely looked up. "Finally, where's the landlord? Where's Amber's friend who supposedly owns—" He stopped mid-sentence as Amber sat down at the head of the table. Michael stared. "Amber? What are you doing here?" Derek looked from Amber to Patricia, then back to Amber. "What is this? Where's the owner?" Amber folded her hands on the table and looked directly at Derek. "You're looking at her." Silence. "What?" Derek said. "I am the owner," Amber said clearly, "of the house, of this building, of Nettle Properties, all of it." Michael shook his head. "Amber, what are you talking about? You work in an office doing paperwork. You said—" "I said I worked in an office, yes," Amber interrupted. "I do work in an office. This office. I'm the CEO and founder of Nettle Properties, one of the largest real estate development companies in the state." Derek laughed nervously. "This is a joke, some kind of prank." Patricia stepped forward and placed documents on the table. "Property deed for 847 Maple Street, where you currently reside. Owner, Amber Nettle. Purchase date, 4 years ago, long before she met Michael. Purchase price, $2.3 million. Michael picked up the document with shaking hands. This can't be real." "Company registration for Nettle Properties," Patricia continued, laying down more papers. "Founder and CEO, Amber Nettle. Annual revenue, approximately $60 million. Current property portfolio, 53 residential and commercial buildings valued at over $300 million. Derek's face went from red to white. No, this is fake. Amber is nobody. She's nothing. She can't even cook properly." "Here's Miss Nettle's tax returns for the past 5 years, Patricia interrupted, sliding more documents across the table. "Personal net worth, $412 million. The number hung in the air. Michael looked at his wife as if seeing her for the first time. 400. Amber, is this true?" Amber looked at her husband, her face calm. "Every word. I've owned that house for 4 years, Michael. I've been paying all the bills, all the utilities, all the property taxes. There is no landlord friend. There never was. It's my house. It's always been my house." Derek finally found his voice. "You lied. You've been lying this whole time." "Yes," Amber admitted. "I lied because I wanted to know if Michael loved me for me, not for my money. I wanted a real relationship built on truth, not on my bank account." Michael stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "But you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. And you didn't defend me enough to stand up to your brother," Amber shot back. "Every day Derek insults me, disrespects me, treats me like a servant in my own home. And what do? Nothing. You ask me to try harder, to cook better, to be quieter, to accept the abuse. He's my brother, and I'm your wife." Amber's voice rose for the first time. "Where is my loyalty, Michael? Where is my protection?" Michael sat back down heavily. I didn't know you owned the house. That shouldn't matter." Amber stood now, her patience finally breaking. "Even if I was just a nobody with nothing, as Derek loves to say, I still deserved respect. I still deserve to be defended. My worth shouldn't depend on my bank account." Derek looked like he'd been slapped. For 3 years, he'd treated Amber like she was beneath him. And all that time, she'd owned everything. The house he lived in, the furniture he used, the food he ate, everything. I want you out, Derek, Amber said coldly. You have 48 hours to pack your belongings and leave my property. You can't. I absolutely can. I'm the owner. You pay no rent. You have no lease. Legally, you're a guest, and I'm asking you to leave. If you refuse, I'll have you removed by police for trespassing. Derek turned desperately to Michael. You're going to let her do this? I'm your brother. I raised you. Michael looked torn, his eyes moving between his wife and his brother. Amber watched her husband, waiting to see what he would choose. In this moment, everything would be decided. Their marriage, their future, everything hung in the balance. Michael, Amber said quietly, you told me Derek sacrificed for you. I respect that. I honor that. But his sacrifice doesn't give him the right to abuse your wife. You have to choose now. Your brother who treats me like trash, or your wife who has been silent and patient for 3 years. Michael sat frozen, his hands gripping the edge of the conference table. His eyes were wet, his breathing shallow. For 3 years he'd lived in a comfortable bubble, avoiding conflict, keeping peace by sacrificing his wife's dignity. Now that bubble had burst. Amber, Michael finally spoke, his voice cracking. I didn't know about any of this. The money doesn't matter, Michael, Amber said, sitting back down. What matters is that you let your brother treat me terribly. Rich or poor, wife or stranger, I deserved better from you. Derek jumped in desperately. Michael, she lied to you. She's been lying for 3 years. How can you trust her? How can she trust you? Patricia interjected. You've called her useless, stupid, worthless. You've eaten her food while insulting it. You've lived in her house without contributing anything. And now you're angry because she has more than you thought? Derek pointed at Patricia. Who even are you? I'm Amber's attorney and best friend, Patricia replied coolly, and I've been advising her to kick you out for 2 years. She didn't, because she loves her husband and didn't want to hurt him. But you pushed too far. Michael looked at his wife, really looked at her. The confident woman sitting before him was different from the quiet, submissive person he'd known, or thought he'd known. Why didn't you tell me? Michael asked. When we got married, why didn't you tell me the truth? Amber sighed. Because every man I dated before you only wanted my money. They pretended to love me, but they loved my bank account. When I met you, Michael, you were different. You were kind and genuine. You loved children. You volunteered. You cared about people. I fell in love with the real you. So you thought I'd only love you for your money? I didn't know, Amber admitted. I wanted to be sure. I thought after a year or two, when we'd built something real, I'd tell you everything. But then Derek moved in, and everything became complicated. Michael shook his head slowly. All this time, the furniture, the utilities, everything, Amber confirmed. Michael, I own 53 buildings. That house is just one property in my portfolio. When you told me we should rent something small to save money, I didn't know how to tell you I already owned it. Derek stood up abruptly. This is insane. Michael, don't let her manipulate you. She's been lying. Sit down, Derek, Michael said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. Sit down. Michael's voice was firmer now. Derek sat, looking shocked. Michael turned to his brother, and for the first time in 3 years, Amber saw her husband's eyes clear with understanding. Derek, Michael said slowly, I've been blind. I've been so grateful for what you did for me when we were younger that I let you disrespect my wife. I thought I owed you everything, so I gave you everything, including my dignity and Amber's peace. Michael, You called her useless, Michael interrupted. You said she was nothing. You mocked her cooking, her silence, her job. You told me I married down, that she wasn't good enough for me, and I stayed silent. I was protecting you. No, Michael's voice rose. You were protecting yourself. You enjoyed feeling superior to someone. You enjoyed having power in a house that wasn't even yours. Derek's mouth opened and closed. Michael stood up and walked to Amber. He knelt beside her chair, tears streaming down his face. Amber, I'm so sorry. I failed you. You deserved a husband who defended you, who stood up for you, who made you feel safe. Instead, I made excuses for Derek's behavior. I asked you to try harder, to be quieter, to just endure it. Amber's own eyes filled with tears. I was wrong, Michael continued. So completely wrong. Money or no money, house or no house, you're my wife. You're supposed to be my partner, my equal, my priority. And I treated you like you were less important than my brother's feelings. He took her hands. I understand if you can't forgive me. I understand if this marriage is over. But please know that I love you. The real you. The CEO. The property owner. The powerful woman I'm just now seeing clearly. I love all of you. And I'm sorry I was too blind to protect you. Amber wiped her eyes. Michael, I'll leave too, Michael said. If you want Derek out, I'll go with him. It's your house. You shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable in your own home. Amber shook her head. Michael, I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. But things have to change. They will, Michael promised. Starting now. Derek leaves. No discussion. No guilt trips. My brother needs to go, and he needs to learn that his past sacrifices don't give him permission to be cruel. Derek stood up, his face twisted with anger and hurt. After everything I did for you, this is how you repay me? Michael turned to face his brother. Derek, you're right. You did a lot for me when we were young. You worked hard jobs so I could go to college. You gave up things so I could have opportunities. And I'm grateful. I'll always be grateful. He stepped closer to Derek. But that gratitude has an expiration date when it comes to abusing my wife. You've taken advantage of my guilt for 3 years. You've lived rent-free, contributed nothing, and treated Amber like a servant. That ends today. She lied to us. She protected herself, Michael shot back. And looking at how you've treated her, can you blame her? If you'd known she was rich, you would have either tried to use her or resented her even more. Either way, your behavior toward her has been inexcusable. Derek looked at both of them, his face a mixture of emotions, anger, betrayal, shock, and underneath it all, shame. I want you to leave in 48 hours, Michael said firmly. Amber has been generous to give you that much time. I'll help you pack. I'll help you find a place. But you cannot stay here anymore. Derek's shoulders slumped. For the first time since Amber had known him, he looked defeated. Fine, Derek said quietly. I'll go. But don't come crying to me when this all falls apart. When her money changes you, Michael. When you become someone I don't recognize. I already became someone I don't recognize, Michael replied. I became a man who let his brother abuse his wife. That changes today. Derek grabbed his jacket and walked to the door. He paused, looked back at Amber one final time and said, I really thought you were nothing. Guess I was wrong about that. Then he left. The conference room fell silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. Patricia quietly excused herself, leaving Michael and Amber alone. Michael sat down beside his wife. What happens now? Amber took a deep breath. Now we decide if we can rebuild this marriage on truth instead of lies, on respect instead of convenience. I want to, Michael said immediately. Amber, I want to be the husband you deserve, not the weak man I've been. It won't be easy, Amber warned. I have a demanding job. I travel sometimes for business. I make decisions about millions of dollars. I have employees who depend on me. This is who I really am. I know, Michael said, and I'm proud of you. Terrified, if I'm honest. I married a millionaire and had no idea, but mostly proud. Amber almost smiled. I married a teacher who makes $45,000 a year. I knew exactly what I was doing, and I chose you anyway, because money isn't everything. Character is. I want to prove I have that character, Michael said. Let me prove it. Amber nodded slowly. Okay, but Derek leaves. And Michael, we start counseling, marriage counseling. We need help rebuilding this foundation. Agreed. Anything you need. And one more thing, Amber added. No more secrets. Not from me, not from you. Complete honesty moving forward. Michael nodded. Complete honesty. Starting now. Can I ask you something? Anything. That first day we met at the volunteer event, did you know then that you'd hide your identity? Amber thought back. Honestly, no. I just knew I liked you. The decision to keep quiet about my business happened gradually. Each day that passed made it harder to come clean. I kept thinking, tomorrow I'll tell him, but tomorrow never came. Until Derek pushed too far. Until Derek pushed too far, Amber agreed. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Michael asked, "So what do we do now? I mean, practically. Do I move into your penthouse? Do we stay at the Maple Street house? Do we?" Amber laughed, the first genuine laugh she'd had in months. "We figure it out together, Michael. That's what partners do." 2 days later, Derek moved out. Amber had arranged for a moving company and even paid for his first month's rent at a modest apartment across town. She didn't have to, but as she told Patricia, "I'm not cruel. I just have boundaries." The house felt different without Derek's negative energy. Lighter somehow. Michael threw himself into being a better husband. He cooked dinner, did laundry, asked about Amber's day at work with genuine interest. He read articles about real estate development so he could understand her business better. One evening, about a week after the revelation, Michael surprised Amber with a home-cooked meal. Spaghetti and meatballs, Derek's old favorite. "Thought we should reclaim this," Michael said with a smile. "Make new memories with this dish." Amber tasted it and her eyes widened. "Michael, this is actually really good." "YouTube tutorials," he admitted. "I've been learning. Figured if I'm going to be married to a CEO, I should at least be able to cook a decent meal when she comes home tired." Amber set down her fork. "You don't have to change everything about yourself, Michael." "I'm not changing," he said. "I'm growing." There's a difference. Over the next few months, they attended counseling every week. It was hard work. Amber had to learn to be vulnerable again, to trust Michael with her full self. Michael had to learn to speak up, to be a stronger partner, to not avoid conflict. Their therapist, Dr. Morrison, asked tough questions. "Amber, why do you think you felt you had to be small to be loved?" Amber thought about it. "My whole life, people wanted something from me. My money, my connections, my properties. Being small, being quiet, it was the only way I knew to find out who really saw me." "And Michael," Dr. Morrison turned to him, "why did you prioritize Derek's feelings over Amber's safety?" Michael struggled with this one. "Derek raised me after our parents died. I felt like I could never repay that debt, so I kept trying to make him happy, even at Amber's expense. I see now how wrong that was." "Do you still feel indebted to him?" "I feel grateful," Michael corrected, "but not indebted. There's a difference. Gratitude doesn't mean accepting abuse. It doesn't mean sacrificing my wife's dignity." Dr. Morrison nodded. "That's growth." 6 months after the conference room revelation, Amber invited Derek to lunch. Michael didn't know about it until afterward. They met at a quiet cafe downtown. Derek looked different, thinner, tired, but somehow more settled. "Thank you for coming," Amber said. Derek shrugged. "I was surprised you called. I wanted to see how you're doing." "I'm managing," Derek said. "Got a job doing construction again. It's honest work, pays the bills." They sat in awkward silence for a moment. "I'm sorry," Derek said suddenly, "for how I treated you. I was angry and bitter, and I took it out on you." Amber nodded. "Thank you for saying that." "I told Michael he was marrying down," Derek continued. "But the truth is, I felt left behind. Michael got an education, got married, had a life, and I was stuck in the past, stuck in resentment. Seeing you, someone I thought had nothing, made me feel superior for the first time in years. That's why I was so cruel." "I understand," Amber said, "but understanding doesn't excuse it." "I know." Derek looked down at his coffee. "How's Michael?" "He's good. We're good. We're working on things." "He chose you," Derek said. "In that conference room, he chose you over me. I hated it then, but now I think it was the right choice. You're his wife. You should come first." Amber was surprised by his honesty. "Derek, Michael doesn't hate you. He just needed to set boundaries." "I know, and I needed them set. I was out of control." Derek paused. "For what it's worth, you're a hell of a woman, Amber. Smart, successful, patient. Michael's lucky." "I'm lucky too," Amber said. "He's a good man. He just needed to remember that." Before they parted, Derek said one more thing. "When you tell this story someday, about the quiet wife who owned everything, tell people I learned my lesson. Tell them I changed." Amber smiled. "Are you changing?" Trying to, Derek admitted. Trying. 1 year after the revelation, Amber and Michael renewed their vows. This time, there were no secrets. Amber wore a designer wedding dress that cost more than their first wedding combined. Michael wore a custom suit. They invited everyone who mattered: Patricia, Dr. Morrison, Amber's employees, Michael's teacher friends. Derek came too. He stood in the back, watching his brother marry the woman he'd once called worthless. When it was time to speak, the officiant asked if anyone had words for the couple. Derek raised his hand. Everyone turned, surprised. "I just want to say," Derek spoke clearly, "that my brother is marrying the strongest woman I've ever met. Amber, you endured my cruelty with grace. You protected your heart while staying kind. You're everything a person should aspire to be. Michael, don't screw this up again." The room laughed, the tension breaking. Michael nodded at his brother, gratitude in his eyes. After the ceremony, as Amber and Michael danced, she whispered, "Thank you for choosing me." "Thank you for staying," Michael whispered back. "Thank you for giving me a chance to become the man you deserved." "You always were," Amber said. "You just forgot for a while." They swayed together, a CEO and a teacher, a woman who owned millions and a man who owned her heart. The quiet wife wasn't quiet anymore. She'd found her voice, her strength, and most importantly, her worth. And the husband who'd once stayed silent had learned to speak up, to defend, to honor the woman he'd almost lost. Their story didn't end with the revelation in the conference room. It began there, because sometimes the strongest foundations are built not on perfection, but on truth, forgiveness, and the courage to choose each other again and again. Sometimes the quietest people in the room are the most powerful. Sometimes the person you underestimate is the one who holds everything together. And sometimes, love means setting boundaries and demanding respect. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been underestimated? Have you had to stand up for yourself? Share your stories with us. If you enjoyed Amber's journey, give us a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and hit that subscribe button, because we bring you real stories with real lessons every week. Thanks for watching, and remember, never judge a book by its cover, and never underestimate the quiet ones. Stay blessed.